This video is brought to you by Cracks Only. Check out the link in the video description below to get to their website and check out their latest products. Trust me, you do not want to miss them.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of the Transfer View, a show so, I guess, redundant in this January transfer market. Despite it being the transfer season, ain't a lot of transfers going on. Doesn't mean, though, that there's not a lot of stories going on in the world of Manchester United. Oh, there's a big one regarding one Marcus Rashford, and we're going to get into all of it this morning. The internal matter has been resolved. Or has it? Are there angry teammates? Possibly. Has the story got more details than actually possibly meets the eye? Perhaps. What's your reaction to it? What's my reaction to it? We're going to get into all of it this morning. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see, top right-hand corner, we're over 160,000 subscribers right now. Who knows how high United View can go? Certainly. But as always, before we get into anything, this video, this show, this stream is brought to you by Cracks Only. The link's in the video description below. You would have seen in recent days that Flex has been decked out in all the Cracks Only gear, the t-shirts, the hats, there's the beanie, there's the wash bag. He's very fond of the wash bag. I don't know if you've seen this. It's a nice sort of leather feel with inscriptions on it. It's very smart. It's very nice. And I've seen you people in the comment section, in the live chat going, Owen, where's your Cracks Only gear? I can confirm that I do have some. I just don't have it at the moment. It's at the studio, and I haven't been there to pick it up because, well, I'm lazy. That's why there. But it is there. So very soon, I shall be wearing it as well. But if you wish to purchase any Cracks Only gear, you can do so. Links in the video description below. As I mentioned, you can it's everything. Everything. It doesn't even have to be sportswear. Yes, they're a big LA-based brand, and yes, you've got several MLS stars wearing it. But even if you just want to wear it out and about, get a nice t-shirt, get a nice hoodie, get some nice socks, get a nice wash bag, get a nice hat. You can do all of it. It's January right now. It's sort of warmed up a little bit, but it can still be quite cold where you are. You know what you got to do. Links in the video description below. How is everybody doing, though, this morning? Let me know where you're watching from, as always. Let me know speaking of actually of Cracks Only, let me know what the weather is like. And then maybe we can guide you as to what you should purchase if indeed you decide to purchase any Cracks Only attire as well. So let me know where you're watching from. Like I said, let me check my weather. Every time I look at this watch, then suddenly it starts talking to me. Yes, it's okay. It's okay this morning. It's not too cold. I'm still in the territory of before I go to bed, I like to turn the heating off. And then it's nice and sort of cold in the morning. But then the problem is you don't want to get out of bed in the morning as well. That's the problem as well, isn't it? Prod by Palmeiras says cold, cloudy Leicestershire. Kratos says good afternoon from India. Lil Yo-Yo says it's cold. Yes. Christopher says miserable Manchester. Barnaby says cold Indiana in the United States. Kamara says from the Gambia, very hot as well. Welsh Hunter says rain here in Wales, obviously. LOL. So look, there you go. We've got a global and diverse UV community. It is tremendous. Liam Kerr's been a member for 18 months, year and a half. Says fizzy rain in the peak. Fizzy rain. I like that. Fizzy rain. So yes, we got Kami says 34 degrees in Perth, Australia as well. So truly the UV community is global. Right, let's talk about Marcus Rashford. And I know that people will probably say, why are you still talking about him? It always makes me laugh, that kind of conversation or that kind of pushback to these kind of stories. Why are you talking about Marcus Rashford? Or why are you talking about when it was Jadon Sancho? Why are you talking about Jadon Sancho? Or why are you talking about Cristiano Ronaldo? It's because it's a big story. It's a big story. It's a break of discipline. And it's an issue that Manchester United have had to deal with. And certainly they say they have dealt with it. The question, I suppose, is, have they dealt with it the best way they could? Have they dealt with it well? What's your reaction to it? So there's a lot to get into this morning when it comes to this. Because as I mentioned, United released a statement to the media last night, but then more stories came out about the reaction internally, as well as more details of Rashford's night outs and questions, which we'll get into as well. So here is the story right here. So Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic said, a statement from Manchester United, quote, Marcus has taken responsibility for his actions. This has been dealt with as an internal disciplinary matter, which is now closed. Rashford is back in training and will be available for selection versus Wolves on Thursday. Now, to dive into this a bit more, the story from The Athletic featured reporting from Laurie Whitwell, Dan Sheldon, and much more. Manchester United say Marcus Rashford has taken responsibility for his actions and will be available for selection for the trip to Wolverhampton Wanderers on Thursday. United say the disciplinary matter has been dealt with internally and is now closed. Rashford attended a meeting with his brother and agent Dwayne Menard, football director John Murtough, and manager Eric Ten Hag at Carrington on Monday, with United wanting to establish the truth about last week's events in Belfast, which, that to me is curious. I guess you can kind of hold that thought for a second, but for a lot of people saying the punishment for Marcus Rashford was being dropped against Newport County, how can you have a punishment when you don't know the full facts of the situation? Because seemingly they found out the full facts of the situation yesterday as opposed to Sunday. That to me is a little bit odd. But hold that thought. Continues, and this is, I don't know whether this was planned or not, or whether this is separate, but this is very interesting. So Dave Brailsford also spoke separately to the United squad on Monday, explaining the Ineos approach to sporting excellence and the importance of standards. Now, there's kind of two schools of thought here, aren't there? One, with this, if that was happening anyway, like so Dave Brailsford, he had already planned to speak to them on Monday about standards and the Ineos approach to sporting excellence. My goodness me, the timing. The timing involved in all that, because imagine Sir Dave Brailsford's there talking to the entire squad about the importance of standards, and then you've got everyone in the room turning towards Marcus Rashford being like, you're taking the piss. Standards? Or it could have been spurred on with Sir Dave Brailsford having already planned a chat with the group and thought, well, I'm going to put this in there and everyone knows what I'm going to be talking about. Well, the Mail Sports, suggesting that maybe some of Marcus Rashford's teammates aren't too happy with him. Chris Wheeler is writing that Marcus Rashford's teammates are angry with the Manchester United star over the latest lapse of discipline that has landed him in trouble with the manager Eric Ten Hag. But senior players are said to be unhappy with Rashford after it emerged that he went on what is being described as a 12-hour tequila bender in Belfast the night before missing a training session at Carrington on Friday morning. Quote, the players were told he was too ill to train, and then it came out that he'd been in the nightclub. They couldn't believe that he would do that given the situation the club is in, said a source. Now, TalkSport are going with that Manchester United coaching staff are concerned Marcus Rashford's lifestyle is having a negative impact on his form. Sources close to Rashford say he is in complete self-destruction mode or self-destruct mode, and there are fears by some Rashford's inner circle have too much power over him. Now, you would have also seen, probably on social media as well, the front page of The Sun is as follows, saying Rashford's 12-hour tequila party before calling in sick. For me, when it comes to all this stuff, when it comes to, the nights out in question and what have you, and the details of what he did on Wednesday and Thursday in terms of he was drinking this or he was doing that, I don't particularly care that much about that. I do think that, of course, and we saw it with Jadon Sancho and we've seen it with other instances, when you give the media an opportunity, they will pile on, and that is exactly what they're doing. They've got the bit between their teeth now, don't they? And they're finding out more and more details about those couple of nights out in Belfast. It's not difficult to find people that will talk to papers. It's not difficult to find people that will talk to journalists and spill the beans. I think if I was Marcus Rashford, I would have a very strong look at my inner circle, the people that surround me and advise me, because one, they're giving me terrible advice. I don't know if he's surrounded by the best people that have got his best interests in him. And what's really concerning is you've got all of these different outlets all having a varying form of an exclusive in terms of extra details about what happened on Wednesday and Thursday and the state of mind that he was in, even down to the details of what beverage he was drinking or what food he was ordering and turned away because he didn't like it. I mean, this is crazy stuff. Now, with that kind of stuff, like I said, I push that to one side because I don't think that has too much to do with the real crux of the story, which is he didn't report to training because he was ill, whereas in reality he was out the night before. And initially, the club thought that he was only out on the Wednesday. It turns out he was out on the Thursday. So there's an element of deception here as well. And when it came out last night that United said that they've dealt with the matter, it's done. It's been handled as an internal disciplinary matter, and they're going to move on. And he trained yesterday and he's going to be available for selection with Wolves. That's when I got a bit frustrated because I look at that and I say, well, I'm not sure what kind of message that is sending to the rest of the squad. I'm not sure what message that is sending to the fans, to be honest, as well, because one of the sort of sticks to beat Erik ten Hag with has been the accusation of favourites, hasn't it? He's got favourites and he selects people over others when those people that are his favourites aren't performing or aren't delivering and are overpaid, overhyped and overvalued. And Marcus Rashford has been one of those names that people have pointed out this season, and when they've said, Eric, why are you still playing him? He hasn't been playing well. Yes, there are other players that might not be as good as Marcus Rashford on his best day, but we haven't seen Marcus Rashford on his best day this season. It feels like, if anything, his best days haven't even happened this season at all. They've been last season and only for a short period of last season. So obviously we don't know the exact nature of the discipline. We don't know if it was a fine. We don't know those things. But like I said, when the part of the story came out suggesting that, he didn't play against Newport, and yesterday he had that meeting with his brother was there, his agent, John Murtough and Erik ten Hag, because they wanted to establish the full facts of what actually happened on Wednesday and Thursday. I then said to myself, I went, well, then surely he couldn't have been, the official punishment, as it were, couldn't have been Sunday, could it not? Because yes, he may have been dropped because of the information and the news that came out sort of late Friday, early Saturday. I get that. So they would have said, right, we're pulling you from the squad. We've got to find out what's going on. We understand that. But then you don't investigate it. Find out that, yes, there was, he did call in sick again. Whether or not he was sick or not, it doesn't really matter. He was out till the early hours of Friday morning. And I think they said it was like 3 a.m. He gets in and he had a private jet planned for 7 a.m. What was he thinking? Was he thinking he was literally going to go straight from the airport to training? That behaviour is not acceptable. It's disrespectful to the club, the fans, the manager, his teammates, everyone associated with Manchester United. So the punishment, like I say, I think should come after they found out the full facts now, right? And you also have to consider that this is an escalation of problems with Marcus Rashford this season as well. You've got, again, the incident happened in October after the City defeat. He was out in Manchester. Erik ten Hag was asked about it, and he said, it was unacceptable. We've spoken to him, and this is an escalation because it's worse than before. That was after a game. This is before training and before a game. And there's an element, as I say, of deception involved in because initially the line was, that was Wednesday, it wasn't Thursday. Turns out it was Thursday. So surely the punishment would have to be more severe. And you see those reports from the Mail saying that the teammates aren't happy. I think the teammates' reaction is probably just like all of the fans' reaction, which is really one of, when you take your mind back to Friday or Saturday, whenever that news came out, and it was The Athletic that reported it, whenever the news came out that, no, he was out Thursday, it wasn't just Wednesday, it was Thursday as well, I would assume that their feelings was probably the same as, all of the fans' feeling of, because I've had opposition fans message me and say, in what world did he think he was going to get away with that? Or in what world did he think that wasn't going to come out? I mean, it's 2024. I mean, I know according to some of the articles, it was like, you go into the club and people take your phones away and all that kind of stuff. You're in public, you're in public, so you're never going to get away with it. And, like I said, the more I read about it, my sort of concern then becomes just thinking about Rashford, the person involved here. is I think he really needs to reevaluate the people that are surrounding him, because I don't think they're steering him in the right direction at all. And I would be really worried about those people surrounding him, because who on earth is thinking that that's a good idea? Secondly, is there nobody to speak up and say, hey, I don't think this is a good idea? And if you're someone that really cares about him surrounding him, you would hope you would sit him down and say, mate, you're blowing this. Like, you've just got this new contract and you had a great season last season, and people were euphoric on your quality and your ability and saying how great you were, and you put a bad season the year prior behind you, and you were this, everyone was raving about you, how great you were playing at the World Cup, and you've got a European Championship coming up in the summer as well for England, and you've been massively out of form. You've had now a couple of incidents. You've got this antagonistic relationship with the Man United fan base, it feels like, with celebrations or responding to things on social media and what have you. It's not good. Like, it's not good at all. And maybe this has to be a situation where it's completely, rock bottom for him, in terms of like, I tell you what, I couldn't believe I did that. I can't believe that I let it get that far. And now the only way is up. But what more needs to be said about it as well? For me, like I said, I would have not had him be available for the game on Thursday against Wolves, possibly even the game at the weekend, and just said, no, you miss a week's worth of games, because that's totally unacceptable. I know that, look, obviously the club say it's been handled and it's moved on and we're moving on, which is the right thing to do. You don't want to drag it out. And this is why last night on the Full View, when KG was talking about, and ultimately, I suppose, KG was right in the sense of, he was going, oh, if it's been handled, we move on and he's available for Wolves. And as much as KG was being slandered, right, he was accurate in that aspect. But for me, like I said, it just comes across as a very soft touch. It comes across as a very soft touch. Not only did he break the rules about being out the night before training, which I'm sure there are rules about that, and then also the information fed back to the club was inaccurate as well. And the club seemingly had to find out by it being in the press that, no, this was on Thursday as opposed to Wednesday too. So, I would have had it, him not be available for Wolves and not be available for the game against West Ham as well, because how is that justified? How? I don't understand that. What are people saying in the chat about it at the moment? Prod by Palmeiras says, Owen, just because he's available doesn't mean Ten Hag will pick him. Technically, Sancho was available for that Arsenal game and still wasn't picked for the match before the fallout/tweets happened. I mean, look, but that wasn't the disciplinary matter, was it? The disciplinary matter was after the fact. He was dropped for the Arsenal game because of he's not training well enough or what have you. Now this then afterwards with the tweets, then it was officially labelled by United as a disciplinary issue. So it'll be interesting to see. When they say he's available for selection, that means minimum he's going to probably be on the bench. I think anyway. I'm still curious to see if we hear anything from Marcus Rashford himself, if there's some form of public statement or public apology, some kind of post on social media or something like that, because it has been so public, and because I don't think he's got a leg to stand on. With the Jadon Sancho one, as much as I disagreed with what he did and the way that he approached it, I can understand that some people think that, or Sancho may think that he's vindicated or he's justified in his actions or not apologizing or his statement. I can understand that. I can see his point of view. As much as people maybe think that I can't or people can't, I can see his point of view. I don't agree with it, but I do agree. I can see what he's saying. With the Rashford thing, got no leg to stand on. How in what realm is he right? In what realm is it fine? Is it passable? It's not. And of course, and this is what I was saying last night with KG with the Full View, so what I was going back to, when he was saying, but the problem is you don't want to go too scorched earth, because then you devalue the player and you can end up with a Jadon Sancho situation where eventually you have to get rid of him and you can't get any money. But my response to that last night was, why are we thinking it's going to go in that direction? Why has it got to be so, all or nothing? Whether it's just, no, don't worry about it, it happened, straight back in, or he never plays for Manchester United again, exiled, train with the kids. Like, it just isn't going to work like that, and it hasn't worked like that. Now, I think it's too close to the, don't worry about it, we'll move on. There were reports yesterday prior to United's statement saying that there was going to be some form of a fine. There's been no details about whether he's been fined or whether he's been, whatever the punishment may have been. I just feel like a fine to a multi-millionaire that's on 300 odd grand a week, and that's his, his salary. We don't, we're not even countering or factoring in endorsements and other things of that nature. That doesn't really scratch the surface, does it? It doesn't really touch the surface at all. So I don't think that I don't think that's an appropriate punishment, to be honest with you, because it would be like, well, okay. It's the same way that with Manchester City, 115 charges, and if they come out to Man City and say, we are fining you £50 million, it's like the thing from Austin Powers when they go, $1 million, and they go, $1 million, and he's like, $1 million. We can do that easy. No problem. I mean, they might, if he went, we're fining you 650k, they might even just take off the watch. I mean, let's be honest. Or take off whatever he's wearing. Take off his hoodie. Just go, there you go. That's about 100 grand. I'll get the rest to you in a bit. No problem. No bother. The only way to punish footballers is by not playing them, because that's invaluable, isn't it? It's not going to hurt at all. And I think that, there has been some pushback about, as I said, about, fans are dragging it out, or fans are making this, bigger or worse than it needs to be. And I don't necessarily, disagree with the sense that, like I said, when you look at articles from The Sun, obviously, or articles that are about like the night out, who cares about that? I mean, that's just tabloid fodder, it's tabloid nonsense. And you could argue with it, with Rashford. Well, you put yourself in that situation. Now you put yourself in a position to be exposed like that, and you put yourself in a position where now there's going to be so much scrutiny on what you were doing, who you were with, how long you were out for, and your mindset and what have you. But that's what happens when you put yourself in that kind of situation. Like I said, for me, that's outside of the realm of football, when I go, well, whatever. But the stuff that I really care about, like I say, is the way that the club's handled it. I'm not against them acting swiftly and getting it done quickly. I mean, of all of the things that they've had to deal with over the last 18 months, I think they've probably learned, or certainly Erik ten Hag, you would think, would have probably learned with like the Sancho thing, don't talk about it, keep it short, internal matter, that's it. And they'd have probably learned that we have a meeting the first day we're back, we get it resolved, it's done, we move on. Do we have to release a statement? Maybe not a club Man United statement. We'll release one to journalists and we'll just move on. But like I say, for me, because we still don't know the aspects of the punishment. For me, if it's being determined that the punishment was that he missed the FA Cup 4th round tie away to Newport County before all of the facts were established, that to me is a bit weak. And it should be a bit firmer and a bit stronger. Particularly, where on the same day that you're having this meeting and establishing these facts, you've got Sir Dave Brailsford from Ineos doing a talk to Manchester United about establishing standards. Well, if I'm in that room, immediately I'm going, what are you talking about standards? One of the guys here called in sick to training on Friday, missed the game on Sunday, and he's available for Thursday, like nothing's happened. That doesn't seem very standards-like to me. And I'm not saying, because again, people will think when you talk standards, so you're saying that he should never play for United, get rid of him again immediately. No. Would I sell him in the summer? Yes, of course. I mean, looking at what's happened with him in the last 3 years, I mean, you look at last season, he had a good season. He had a patch of form in that season. This season, he's been poor. Season before that, he was poor. And he had issues with the fan base, with everything. I would look at it and go, actually, we've got someone that will go for a lot of money. It's pure profit. And maybe it's best for him that he moves on. Maybe that's just the best thing for him, is that he moves on and he goes somewhere else. Because the pressure, it looks like he's struggling to handle it. And now that would be standards. That would be standards from Ineos. That would be standards from Jim Ratcliffe and Omar Barada and what have you. Of, okay, right, we've had a couple of issues the last few years. This is an asset that we can get a lot of money for. We ourselves are in a bit of a financial fair play pickle. We're going to have to go down a bit of a Chelsea route and go, hey, I know it's a homegrown talent, and I know that, we talk about with the club and bringing players through the academy, and that is still our lifeblood and our ethos, but the wheel keeps turning, regardless of who you are or how big you are. And if it's right for you to be moved on for the betterment of the club, for the betterment of the team, and for the betterment of the player, which you would think in this instance, it probably ticks every single box there, then he should be moved on. And I don't think there'll be a problem with suitors for Marcus Rashford. Not at all. It'll be a player that clubs around Europe will be looking for, no doubt about it. And I think that would be best for all parties. As of right now, you would say, look, nothing's happening in January. It's the end of the month. It's something ridiculous like just like 30-odd million has been spent in the Premier League. Last season, it was £370 million. FFP and the PSR thing is absolutely stopping anyone from doing anything. So I agree with KG in the essence of, you bring him back in and then not that you keep playing him because you look to the summer. If Marcus Rashford's not playing well, he should still be sitting on the bench. That's the other part of it too. We can't, just because we're like, well, his value is value. If he's not playing well, that's his fault that his value is going down. If we keep playing him over and over and over again, and he's still not playing well, and we're still losing games, eventually Eric Ten Hag will be like, balls to the value. I'm not going to be in a job anymore. I'm not going to be in a job. Exactly. That's the. What is that, by the way? It started happening to me now. I don't know what it is, and I can't do other things. I can't do the. What did Kenny do? Like Kenny did that, and like the thing comes up. That's the only one I can do. The only one I can do is the thumb up, and even that doesn't happen all the time. I wish I knew. I wish I knew either how to turn it off or how to do something about it. I genuinely don't know. If someone can tell me, then it would be tremendous. But I don't know how to. Kenny's got it really locked in. He did the fireworks at the end of the full view last night. It's very impressive. I don't know how. Either way, let me have a look at what the chat's saying here. Akil says, how to make a club a joke? Ask Rashford and the owners. Sean says, not happy about this, to be honest. As I said on the post-match, standards still aren't being set at the club. And, let me know in the chat, actually, what you think about this. About the punishment or the lack thereof or what have you. Let me put a poll up, actually. I'm trying to think of the best options for the poll. What I essentially want to say is the punishment strong enough? Or are you happy with the punishment? Not that we know what it is, but is Rashford's punishment strong enough? Basically, if we're assuming that the punishment is that he missed Newport and maybe he got some form of a fine, but he's going to be available for Wolves and he's going to be available for the game of the weekend. Yes, no, and then I'll just put don't care. Because some people don't care. Some people will say we really don't care at all. There you go. Poll is in the chat. Like I say, if it was me voting in it at the moment, I would go no. I don't think it's strong enough at all. And then I suppose if it is no, if you are voting no, then let me know what you would have preferred instead. We'll get some of your comments up on the screen as well. How many likes are we currently at the moment? Let's have a look. We've got over 1,000 people watching. Only 168 likes. Oh, only 168 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As I mentioned, we're now over 160,000. Road to 200 continues. And once we get to 200, I've been informed that like we did when we had 100, we'll have some sort of gathering, some sort of party, 100k party. You can maybe even see Marcel do his training for another 200k party. Could you imagine? Like last time was tremendous. Maybe we'll see Cam and his football skills, or maybe lack thereof, as well. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here at the moment. Peter says, fine is okay, but he also should have to publicly apologise to club, Ten Hag, teammates and fans. Domingo says, I think a 5-match ban. This sends a better message to the younger players. I think, look, when it comes to like 5 matches, I think that's probably a bit excessive. I would just say the same way that... Ronaldo wasn't Ronaldo banned for like a week or something like that, or he was training with the youngsters for a week after doing the refusing to come on and leaving early. I think that was a week, and then he missed the Chelsea game because of it. In fairness, it was a game in midweek, wasn't it, against Spurs, and that led to our missing the game at the weekend. If you said the same thing to Rashford and said, right, just for the rest of this week, you're training with the youngsters, and you're going to miss the next 2 games. I don't think there's much pushback from that. And again, it's not to say that Marcus Rashford, he's got to be exiled forever and never come back, Jadon Sancho settings. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a case of there's got to be some form of, stronger fitting punishment, and then bring him back in, and then ultimately look to sell him in the summer. I mean, the thing is too, even regardless of what happened, there would still be, I think, discussions about whether or not he starts anyway. Like whether, I know that in recent weeks, he scored against Spurs. Did he get a goal and an assist against Wigan, or was it just an assist against Wigan? I forget. But, and this is what we've been saying. I remember talking about this quite a lot on the full-time view after the games, that's when you have to be in the territory, don't you, of you can't just look at numbers on the board with certain performances, because I think staunch sort of Rashford or pro-Rashford people will say, well, in recent weeks he's been scoring and he's been getting assists, so he would be starting, he would be playing. But to be honest with you, when you've watched him in those games, he still hasn't been playing particularly great. He still has been Rashford this season, which is very wasteful, running into blind alleys, decision making not being there. And just a very frustrating watch. Now, that's not to say that Anthony's been better than him, because he hasn't. Anthony's been rubbish. That's not to say against Newport that Garnacho was far superior. Garnacho, I think, had one of his worst games that I've seen him in a Man United shirt have against Newport County. So everyone's playing badly. But I think this season, the sort of the days of Marcus Rashford being this automatic, Rashford's available, he starts, I think that's gone. I really do. Maybe Ten Hag views it differently because of what he did last season. I don't know. But I think the days of Rashford's available, so Rashford definitely starts then. Well, I don't know. Because you don't know what you're going to get from Marcus Rashford on the pitch this season. And on top of that, you don't know what you're going to get off the pitch as well, seemingly, because it's not been the first time. So that's part of the problem too. What's the poll saying? Poll's been up for 5 minutes. Is Rashford's punishment strong enough? Only 9% say yes. A whopping 74% say no. And don't care is just 17%. 17% of people saying, I don't really care, to be honest with you. What else are people saying here? Joe Blackman says, just because KG was right about the punishment doesn't make it right. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see KG's show this morning, isn't it, over on his channel. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe to his channel and check out, because I still haven't seen, I was busy yesterday morning, so I still haven't seen his show yesterday. Legitimately, I got a phone call from KG later on. Well, I had a missed call, then I called him back, and I said, he said to me, oh, what's going on? And I said, I'm just returning your call. And he said, did you see my show this morning? I went, no, I didn't see it. What was happening? He went, it was a crazy show. It was a crazy show. And he was talking about, the accusations that some people are saying, you're Player FC or you're Rashford PR. And I went, well, then I guess the full view is going to be very interesting last night. Indeed it was. The full view was very interesting last night, wasn't it, from KG? And I can't recall a time where, if you're going to count like the super chats in the show, that I would say an approximate 90% of them were all KG's an idiot, KG's stupid, what's KG talking about, KG's got this wrong, KG, Kevin Glazer, all this kind of stuff. So today on his channel, it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see if indeed he crows, or if he says this is I was just right, or this is what I thought about, this is how I saw it playing out, and it's indeed how it's played out. So KG's pretty I guess vindicated on the whole thing. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that. So there you go. That's the latest when it comes to Marcus Rashford. When it comes to other transfer news, as mentioned, nothing. I mean, we already know that Man United aren't going to be signing any players in January. Only a couple of days left in the window. It was reported last week that just the money just isn't there due to FFP and PSR. So don't expect any last-minute business. I know that there are still those articles or those reports or those videos where they say shock late deal, or United offered this person, or this is happening. It's not happening. We're not. Maybe they can use some of the Rashford fine to maybe look at one more player or something like that. I said one more player, a player. I don't know. Amanor with the super chat says, Rashi's punishment, learn to make good decisions. Decision making is not great on the pitch as well. I did see today, isn't it 4 years to the day that Bruno Fernandes signed with Manchester United? I believe it is. So whilst we sort of get ready to wrap up, I thought we'd ask the question: what's your favourite Bruno Fernandes memory or moments since he's been at Manchester United? Now coming on to 4 years, is there a particular moment from Bruno that stands out? What do you think his impact has been on Manchester United since he's arrived? I mean, if you want to look at some of the the goals and assists that he's created since he scored and created since he arrived at Manchester United, it's crazy, isn't it? It's nuts. But yeah, indeed, 2020 signed for Manchester United. I mean, it's a bit of a strange tenure for him as well, isn't it? Because he signed, only played a handful of games in front of fans, and then obviously the world shut down. He didn't play in front of fans again for ages, but then was unbelievable in the COVID seasons as well, wasn't he? So yeah, it's crazy how time flies. Of course, now he's a Manchester United captain. What are people saying here? Proper Pamres says the goal versus the Turkish team, Istanbul, wasn't it? Amanor says scoring against Man City at home. Yeah, that was the last game before the lockdown, wasn't it? The little dink over the top. Oh, well, wow. There was he was that the assist because he gave it to Martial. Did he score that one? Or was that the assist? I forget. It feels like a lifetime ago. Simon says he's done okay. Yeah. Show, not a Bruno fan, says my favourite Bruno moment is when he was suspended against Liverpool. Oof. Noel says Bruno first year was brilliant. Sergio says free kick chip to Anthony Martial as well. Howcon says that KG is just a blind Rashford FC. Well, he insists that he's not. He insists that he's not. He says that he's thinking of the club. He's thinking of protecting the asset. That's what he's thinking. That's all he's thinking about. He's just thinking of the asset. He's just thinking of getting as much money for Marcus Rashford as possible. I don't really know what he's talking about. I loosely get what KG is talking about, where he's saying that you don't want like a similar situation to what happened with Jadon Sancho, in the sense of the player doesn't play for several months, and then when we're trying to get rid of him, it's like, well, he's only worth 40 million. What are we to do? But I just didn't ever really seeing it get to that point, and that's not an excuse not to have significant punishment where you've been a repeat offender. I mean, I put it to Flex last night this way. Imagine, and some people will probably say that I am, imagine I'm doing a terrible job presenting shows, right? And Flex has a word and he goes, mate, you really need to up your levels. And I go, I know, I'm not what I was last season. I know. And he goes, yeah, but let's just, come on, people have been asking me questions, going, oh, what's going on with Owen? And I've gone, well, he'll get there. He'll get there again. We'll get back to the strong shows again. And then next thing you know, there's a particularly bad show or whatever. And then it turns out on social media, they go, oh, the reason it was rubbish, that shows, because he went out straight away afterwards. It was certain Flex goes, come on, man, that's not the kind of behaviour we're sort of looking for. And I go, oh, I know. And he goes, look, that's like a proper warning now. Let's just make sure we get it, that's cut out. And I go, yeah, don't worry. Then, let's say there's like a match view or something like that, or something big, something big, and I miss it. And I go, oh, I can't, I'm ill today, I'm proper ill. And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. Once you're feeling better, you come back, no problem. And then he comes out, then he goes on my Instagram, and he sees that I was out the night before. He goes, wait a minute, you were out last night, so you weren't ill. What's going on there? You'd say, well, there's been now a couple of times we've had to have this conversation, so it's got to get worse. You know what I mean? The punishment has to get more severe, doesn't it? And so I don't see why you would handle the situation, very softly, unless like Erik ten Hag and John Murtough are just so worried about how bad Man United are. They want to handle things lightly, but Marcus Rashford hasn't earned that this season, so I don't get it. I really don't understand that. Lil Yo-Yo says, Owen, fun fact, Kevin Glazer is a real person on the board of Man United. I know. That's what's funny, isn't it? Is that there is a legitimate Kevin Glazer. That's not Kevin Garry. It's someone else as well. But it is funny. But let's close this poll as well. Once again, the question was, is Rashford's punishment strong enough? It's been up for 12 minutes. Only 9% of you say yes. 73% say no. 17% say don't care. Don't care at all. So there we go. How many super chats are we at? That's sorted as well. How many likes are we currently at too? We're currently at 1,000 people watching. Only 240 likes. We can go higher. It's a solo stream. It is what it is. It's one of those ones. So if you haven't already, click the like button as well. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. What's on tap for the rest of today? Well, coming up later on today, if you're a fan, I mean, this is, talk about long form storytelling, right? If you're a fan of Flex and KG going at each other on Sunday for the match view, on Monday with the full view, it's continuing today with the Flex and KG show, because Flex and KG will be back 6 p.m. I think it is, or it might be 7 tonight, either or. Later on this evening, it's going to be coming out Flex versus KG in the Flex and KG show. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see KG probably crow a little bit and say, hey, I was right. I told you I was right. And maybe Flex will have to eat a little bit of humble pie, because I can give some exclusive information about this. When I sent Flex last night, because whenever any news story comes out, I send it to him straight away on WhatsApp. And the first thing he said when I sent him the quote of United saying it's an internal matter, it's been resolved, is he went FFS, KG was right, or KG vindicated. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like that. So yeah, that's going to continue later on. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. I'll speak to you all again very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.